Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. We're going to do some reviews today under 17 USC 107, Limitations on Exclusive Rights, Fair Use, and that is for my freedom of expression and your right to know. Now, the people that, or the videos that I'm going to be putting up are shorts, and they're not particular in my view. But I do have agreement with a lot of the concepts that are being put forth, and those that I don't agree with are merely just my presentation to show you the fallacy of what's going on today. And so we're going to take a look at this first one. And I got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 13, 14 videos that we're going to go over. And like I said, they're all shorts, and I may or may not make comments on them. Just some videos I'm going to review. And if you have any comments, feel free to place them in the comment section. We're just going to run through them real quick. May play them a couple, 2, 3 times just to get them embedded into your mind to think about what's going on. So let's take a look at this first one. As a purple-haired woman is running for city council, these are the kind of people that we're dealing with today. And these are the kind of people that they're wanting to put into office simply because they run for office.
Meet Elizabeth Gray, a purple-haired woman who yells at strangers in Costco, allegedly over whether they are wearing their masks or not. I think she, is running for city council in Utah.
Get out of here! Come on, no kid! Treat them like trash! Yeah, you're right!
Now I want you people to notice that this gentleman behind her, the other guy wearing the mask here, that evidently is her husband, and he's twice as big, yet she's the one ruling the house. These are nothing but beta cuck slaves, and we do not need women in politics, period. Women are not supposed to be playing leadership roles outside of the home. They're to be protected so that they can raise the children. That is my personal belief.
Yeah.
She seems stable.
She's crazy.
Meet Elizabeth Gray, a purple-haired woman who yells at strangers in Costco, allegedly over whether they are wearing their masks or not. I think she, is running for city council in Utah.
Get out of here! Come on, no kid! Treat them like trash!
Go home and treat your own kids like crap. By not wearing a mask, you're treating people like crap. Really. By not wearing a mask for a fucking cold virus that we've never worn a mask for in the history of mankind, except to be induced into believing it was something other than a cold virus. She seems stable, all right.
Hold on. Colorado legalized abortion up to 9 months with no medical reason required.
Listen,
Do you agree with
I agree with that decision. Yes.
that? What about
Yes.
meth?
They never make any sense.
Like, should she be allowed to do meth?
Yeah.
I think if someone is doing meth while they're pregnant, that it is completely acceptable for something like,
Hold on, wait for it.
I don't know what the name of the service is in the United States.
Child services?
Child
Well, it's her body, though.
Yeah, it's her body.
If she wants to do meth, what's the big deal?
Wait for it.
The big deal is that she's intentionally trying to kill a child.
Hold on there a minute.
Yeah, and I see where we're going.
Gotcha, bitch.
Hold on. Colorado legalized abortion up to 9 months with no medical reason required.
Did you catch the point there? He said that if she's using meth, then she's intentionally trying to kill the child. Isn't that the point of abortion? the intentional killing of a child, the intentional killing of a fetus, the intentional killing of an embryo, no matter what stage, that is a dependent life and is dependent upon mom. And mom, too, was once dependent. This is a dependency world. You do depend on other people.
Listen,
Do you agree with
I agree with that decision. Yes.
It's not what about
Yes.
meth?
they never make any sense.
Like, should she be allowed to do meth?
Yeah.
I think if someone is doing meth while they're pregnant, that it is completely acceptable for something like
Hold on, wait for it.
I don't know what the name of the service is in the United States.
Child services?
guess
Child
she-
Well,
yeah.
it's her body, though.
Yeah, it's her body.
If she wants to do meth, what's the big deal?
Wait for it.
The big deal is that she's intentionally trying to kill a child.
Now, as it relates to the mask, as Chris mentioned in the chat section, this is the same issue, folks. Your body, your right, right? Isn't that what they're saying with abortion laws? Is it your body? It's your right to do so? I agree. If you want to have an abortion, that's fine. I don't support it. If you want to wear a mask, that's fine. I don't support it. It's the same issue. If you want to do what you want to do, that's fine. There are many things I may or may not support in what you do. Other than that, I don't give a flying fuck what you say.
Hold on there a minute.
Yeah, and I see where we're going.
Gotcha, bitch.
Hold on.
This one is great for all you Democrats out there that pose that you're Democrats and don't know why and don't know the history.
When I was young, I used to jump for joy and say, oh yeah, Obama, black president, that's so amazing. He's the same color as me. But when I started to do more research, one of the biggest things I was confused about is, well, why is he a Democrat? What is a Democrat? I did more research about the Democrat Party. And sure, you guys are going to pop off about the head saying, oh, there's a party switch in the Southern strategy.
And he's absolutely right. The ideology that it was such a great thing, and it is only an ideology that it was such a great thing that Obama was elected as president because of the color of his skin. I don't care why he was elected, but the effect was the ideology that rose up from it, that it's a black president. That's part of the game. That's part of the demonocracy, is that they want you to placate to some kind of noun that dispositions you from your spirituality. And this is a perfect example of why I don't want you to believe me. I don't want you to believe your neighbor. I don't want you to believe your government. I don't want you to believe your mother, for crying out loud. Do your research so you know.
And all these things,
Which is true.
which you may say is true. I don't believe it is true at all.
You're
I
wrong.
understand, you may think I'm wrong.
You are.
However, one of the biggest questions I had was, why is Obama in the same party as the people that started the KKK, the same people that voted against the Civil Rights Act, the same people that are on the news talking about how black people aren't able to accomplish anything and need to be on welfare and need to be promoted with affirmative action and things like that. When I was young, I used to jump for joy and say, oh yeah, Obama, black president, that's so amazing. He's the same color as me. But when I started to do more research, one of the biggest things I was confused about is, well, why is he a Democrat? What is a Democrat? I did more research about the Democrat Party.
Affirmative action rather than confirmative action of your own. If you have affirmative action, it's the affirmative actions of other people taking upon responsibilities that you claim, and they're protecting you in those responsibilities, and that's all. And it's all because you can't confirm who you are and take your own responsibilities. So in their responsibility of taking care of a babbling bitch, they don't let them out in public to cause problems. So they will lock your babbling bitch asses up.
And sure, you guys are going to pop off about the head saying, oh, there's a party switch in the Southern strategy and all these things.
Which is true.
Which you may say is true. I don't believe it is true at all.
You're
I
wrong.
understand, you may think I'm wrong.
You are.
However, one of the biggest questions I
You may think I'm wrong. And in order to enforce it, that's his idea, is that he thinks he's wrong. Not that he's wrong, because he's not. But the other guy thinks he's wrong, and he says so. You're wrong. And he has no basis, because the guy never explained how he's a Democrat. Show me one Democrat that can show the true ideology of democracy, and you'll see the demon, because they'll tell you straight to their face, they're going to take your rights. They are better than you. You are nothing. And it's because they have wealth and fame and nominations. The name is more important. That is what they will tell you.
I had was, why is Obama in the same party as the people that started the KKK, the same people that voted against the Civil Rights Act, the same people that are on the news talking about how black people aren't able to accomplish anything and need to be on welfare and need to be promoted?
And again, you do not need to be on welfare. You do not need to be promoted. If you go on welfare, that's what they promote. They will never promote you. They will promote the fact that you had to go crawling to them. And they will shove it down your throat in every venue as long as you continue to believe that.
No other gods than me. The implication I offer is that we are a species that worships, and if you do not access the divine, you will worship the mundial. You
just like the man in the video before. The Democrats are worshiping a mundial concept of their own fame and fortune. And by that, anybody that doesn't have that fame and fortune needs to subsist on their welfare program and be promoted. That's an employment termination term. Promotion. If you think you need to be promoted for wealth, then you may be seeking the wrong wealth, because the riches of the world lay before your eyes in the natural world. They do not exist in another man's possessions.
You will worship the profane. You will worship your own identity. You will worship your belongings. You will worship the template laid before you by a culture that wants you, but gets you distracted and relatively dumb. When it says in the Old Testament, worship no other gods than me.
And so when they start, excuse me. So when they start pushing their agenda in their legalese or whatever grammar style they're using, whether it be Democratic, Republican, transgender, gay, lesbian, cultural, political, religious, whatever, you have to be aware that that's profane knowledge. It's not true knowledge. It's profane. And it is a distraction from the true knowledge of the Spirit.
The implication I offer is that we are a species that worships, and if you do not access the divine, you will worship the mundial. You will worship the profane. You will worship your own identity. You will worship your belongings. You will worship the template laid before you by a culture that wants you, but gets you distracted and relatively dumb.
And relatively dumb. The average American has a 7th grade reading comprehension. And then the next one is going to break the tempo here. I want to put a lightning of the heart on people. These are the kind of people we need in our lives. When we see an 11-year-old that hacked a Swiss bank and transferred his father $75 billion, he was basically telling his daddy, here you go, daddy, you got everything you need to be the man you need to be. Do it. See, not only do we need to bring our children up in the Word of God, but when we do so, that child should be supporting the father as well. It should be reciprocal. Now, again, this isn't saying that the father should indoctrinate the son into his own beliefs, but rather than the faith of the Father in heaven. So if we lose that chain anywhere between mom and dad and the children, none of them have it. That's why it's so important to make sure when you get involved in these relationships, whether they're polygamous or monogamous, that you make sure it's the spirit that's carried and not the flesh. This one here is going to tell you a lot, I hope, and pay attention to the people that are speaking on it. These are people that I don't know and people that you probably don't know. They're nobodies, but yet somehow they know.
Left knows exactly how to bait black people because they use things like racism. Can I give you an example?
Listen
The other
close.
day, Michelle Obama went on TV. She gave a whole speech, talked about how Trump was this and Trump was that. And at the very end of what she said, she made sure to say, and yes, it is racist. You know why? Because the minute you call anything racist or you add race into it, black people get emotional and they come out. Kamala did the same thing because they
He's
know how
calling
to
them
bait
out.
black people in. The problem is black people are stuck looking at CNN and the rest of that stuff.
And Danielle, it's not a matter of trusting Russell Brand. Again, you're not supposed to put your trust in another man, and you're not supposed to be listening to the messenger. You're supposed to listen to the message. So the spiritual message that Russell Brand brings is that you're supposed to be listening to the spirit and not the mundane bullshit that everybody else brings with their ideologies of politicism and religion and commercialism and all of that. If you're going to remain in the spirit, then you bring the spirit into those other venues. If you can't do that, then you shouldn't be playing in those venues. It's not your sandbox until you can do that.
And here's my thing, and I've told black people this before.
They
who are
get
Democrats.
people
I
to
don't
vote
try to convince Democrats to be
based on their
Republican. What I
emotions.
try to convince them to do is know your history and read a little bit. Do your research. If you still want to vote Democrat, do what you do, but be an educated and an informed voter. Most Democrats can't tell you why they're Democrats. They just hate Donald Trump. They can't even tell you what Biden did in 47 years, but they're going to vote for him.
And he's absolutely correct. If you're going to be voting, make sure you're voting on knowledge and not your emotions. We have 98% of the population voting on emotions and voluntarily paying taxes because they don't have the knowledge. And this is what tells us that they're in their emotions and don't know what the hell they're doing. You cannot be in your emotions and be thinking reasonably and logically at the same time. You have to learn how to separate them and use them appropriately. Your emotions are for acting. Your reason and logic is for knowledge. Use them appropriately. Now, the next one is a very short one, but a very poignant one as it comes to transgender.
If having a vagina doesn't make you a woman, how come lipstick, high heels, and a handbag do?
Facts.
If having a vagina doesn't make you a woman, how come lipstick, high heels, and a handbag do?
Facts.
So, facts. Fig leaf. It's because of your own embarrassment that you women as well, you know, that you're already got a pussy. You don't need the makeup, do you? But you put it on because you're embarrassed about how you look. Guys doing it, they don't do it because they're embarrassed on how they look. They're embarrassed that they're a man. I pose that it's very likely that many of these men growing up today see men acting like pussy and think it's just fine for them to act like a pussy too, because they don't have real men in their lives. It's becoming a lost ideology, ladies. So we're going to play it a couple more times.
If having a vagina doesn't make you a woman, how come lipstick, high heels, and a handbag do?
Facts.
If having a vagina doesn't make you a woman, how come lipstick, high heels, and a handbag do?
Facts.
If having a vagina doesn't make you a woman, how come lipstick, high heels, and a handbag do?
Facts.
So the next one, as it relates to children. I want you guys to pay attention, because Maui, I don't think, is what you think it is. I think there's a much bigger picture. It's a much bigger island than Epstein's Island. It's much warmer than Alaska, yet it's not a state. It's merely a territory like Alaska. They rose up and made their own constitution, supposedly. This is one of the things about Russell J. Gould and David Wynn Miller. And now that they've got their own constitution and their supposed sovereignty, where's their military? You guys I'll be darned. I didn't get that switched over, did I? My apologies. We'll
How
do
many
it again.
children are missing? What we've been told is that officially there are about 100 people who have died in the fires, but there are 1,000 people missing. Now, how many days later? Here's what the mayor of Maui has to say.
I don't know. I wish
Yes,
I knew
you
the answer.
do. How many children are missing? You
I
know.
wish I knew the answer to that. I would be happy to answer that.
You have no estimate as to how many children are missing?
I guess
Nothing?
we can end this right now if you guys want.
Sorry,
This is one of the biggest questions that the people of Lahaina have, but you don't want to answer.
It always takes one or two to ruin it for everybody.
Every time an illegal alien child at the border caught a cold during the Trump administration, it was national headline news, AOC pretending to cry outside the gates. But 1,000 people potentially dead in Maui, many of them, if not most of them, children, and nothing, a media blackout. The mayor of Maui will not say how many children are missing. What we've been told is that officially there are about 100 people who have died in the fires, but there are 1,000 people missing.
These are statistics. So it's unavoidable. You cannot dismiss the statistics that are already on the record. You have to be able to use them. And by refusing to use them and make the estimate to the public of how many children are missing is denial. How many times are you going to vote people like this into office to then turn around and ask them about those statistics and have them deny? Keep doing it. That's your own ideology of allowing another man to lie to you because you're so willing to live a lie yourself. I urge you to stop. Here's one in regards to the liberal teens coming up today. And this is a reminder of what I just said about the transgenders growing up in a world because they see a bunch of pussies as men. So they think it's okay to be raised as a pussy and live their life as a pussy. Get over it.
Lord, help us.
We have the freedom to say what you want, but everyone else has the freedom to respond and cancel you if you say something that is racist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. Cancel culture is definitely good in the means of like deplatforming people who are spreading very hateful messages.
Very hateful messages. I don't care what you fucking think about me. You can hate me all you want. The problem is too many people think because somebody else hates them that it's hurtful. Fucking pussies.
You brought up canceling him off Twitter. I'm sorry, I disagree. When the Taliban can use our social media, but an ex-president can't, there is something wrong with that.
Did the Taliban violate community guidelines?
Did the Taliban violate community guidelines? I'm sorry, but your community guidelines ain't nothing but a fucking ideological piece of bullshit. The very use of transgender guidelines with 72 different fucking pronouns is fucking insane. I don't care if you don't like it or not. See, the reason of that 17 USC 107 across the bottom there is like I mentioned at the beginning. I have a right to express myself. You have a right to know. And as long as you uphold your responsibility of a right to know so that you can live your life in truth, then that responsibility is not dismissing or not allowing me to my freedom of expression, but being able to dismiss what I might say as not applicable to you. So even if I say something hateful and you are standing in truth yourself and it's not applicable to you, then what am I really hating? Think about what you're doing.
What?
You can't make this shit up.
Lord help us.
We have the freedom to say what you want, but everyone else has the freedom to respond and cancel you if you say something that is racist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. Cancel culture is definitely good in the means of like deplatforming people who are spreading very hateful messages.
You brought up canceling him off Twitter. I'm sorry, I disagree. When the Taliban can use our social media, but an ex-president can't, there is something wrong with that.
Did the Taliban violate community guidelines?
Sickening. Totally sickening. The next one is just comical. Just comical. Because it's so blatant. And this is one of the main points I've been putting on everybody. That hospital that you're born at has no authority. It's a statistical regimen. Okay? So pay attention to this video, please.
Why should I believe that Jesus was resurrected?
Because the historical evidence is that
Okay,
he really
you tell me
died
medical,
and he
you
really
give me
rose
some
from the
medical
dead.
records and I'll believe it. Okay, you show me Jesus Christ's medical chart, I'll buy into it. I'll be a Christian to date.
Man, they didn't keep medical records in the first century.
Oh, that's so convenient, isn't that? That's wonderful.
No, rather, it's real convenient for you to say, knowing full well they didn't keep medical records in the first century. It's so convenient for you to say, all right, if you give me the medical records, then I'll believe. Talk about convenient. Give me a break. Come on, man. Homer, Herodotus, Sophocles, Plato, Aristotle. Show me the medical records for them, will you? Historical knowledge is not based on medical records, ma'am. It's based on the trustworthiness of eyewitness testimony.
It's incredibly dishonest when the atheist denies the historical evidence that's available and then demands a level of evidence that they know is impossible.
Why should I?
You understand that, folks? People are requiring you to give evidence that isn't there. See, when they talk about the historical evidence, they're talking about something they call as hearsay, but it sits in the record because it's considered first-hand testimony. That is the consideration it is given. Medical society is given medical opinion for consideration and not historical opinion. Therefore, it has no historical value. You really need to start paying attention to what's being said, by who, in what context, and so many other things that I urge you once again, unlearn what you've been told to remember and go back and relearn what you need to know. The next one here.
A boy asked a beautiful girl in a library, "Do you mind if I sit beside you?"
This is how you know your intellect, when you can protect yourself and all you do is use your words. Because once again, that's what they're using against you. Pay attention, fellas. Pay attention, ladies.
The girl replied with a loud, angry voice, "I don't want to spend a night with you." All the people in the library started staring at the boy, and he was so embarrassed.
All he did was ask if, and to placate, because of her fear, her ideology of what she saw the rest of society as in she sees all men the same. So she sets herself up. Just like Jack. Jack is doing nothing but setting himself up, and all those people on his panel, they're following right in line, and they're setting themselves up. Pay attention.
A few minutes later, the girl walked up to the boy and told him, "I study psychology and I know what a man is thinking. I guess you felt embarrassed, right?" The boy replied with a very loud voice, $300 for one night? That's too much. And all the people in the library looked at the girl in shock, and the boy whispered to her, "I study law and I know how to make someone guilty."
So, are you guilty? See, if you don't understand what that joke is all about, is that the people that are guilty are the ones running around running their fucking mouths because they have this psychological idea about who and what everybody else is without paying attention to the message or the question that they ask, and rather put their own ideology upon that man before he even comes up and asks her the question. She sees him coming. She's already got an ideology about him. It's sickening. How many ideologies do you have? I have one.
A boy asked a beautiful girl in a library, "Do you mind if I sit beside you?" The girl replied with a loud, angry voice, "I don't want to spend a night with you." All the people in the library started staring at the boy, and he was so embarrassed. A few minutes later, the girl walked up to the boy and told him, "I study psychology and I know what a man is thinking. I guess you felt embarrassed, right?" The boy replied with a very loud voice, $300 for one night? That's too much. And all the people in the library looked at the girl in shock, and the boy whispered to her, "I study law and I know how to make someone guilty." A boy asked a beautiful girl.
Okay, the next one is, this is actually a comedian, and he did a great show. On the insanity of what we're talking about. And he used a great example.
Megan Rapinoe is like a soccer player. She's got like pink and purple hair. And this is what messed me up. She went to the White House. I've never been. And she got to meet the president. I never got to do that. And she went on TV and was like, "This country's never been fair for people like me."
Never been fair for people like me. She got her 15 minutes of fame. She's had her 15 minutes of fame. And long-standing 15 minutes of fame. And now all of a sudden, the world's not fair to people like her because she ain't got enough fame. No, wait a minute. It's not that she ain't got enough fame. It's just that people don't treat her famously because there are people that don't like the way she presents.
Because she's like LGBTQIA+. And I looked it up. She gets paid to play soccer. $3 million for playing soccer, you guys. Not even real soccer. Women's soccer. She also has sponsorships she does not deserve. She got paid $1 million from Victoria's Secret. And if you've seen her body, she has no secrets. Let's be real. I looked it up. She gets paid $3 million a year from Subway sandwiches. for a woman that does not want a foot long in her mouth. I'm just saying, she wants to eat fresh, but not like that. She should be sponsored by Arby's. That's all I'm saying. Arby's roast beef.
Does it make sense to listen to people like that? Society's abusing me. I get 3 million here and 3 million there, and I get to be who I want and act like I want, but society's abusing me because they don't like me. Fucking pussies.
To give you a sense of how unqualified this nominee is, she listed in her judiciary questionnaire her top 10 litigated cases. And I just want you to pause and read this for a second. Her top 10, she did a driver's license revocation. She did a second driver's license revocation. She did an unemployment benefits appeal. She did another unemployment benefits case. She did another unemployment benefit case. And her sixth case was an unemployment benefits case where on the opposing side was a pro se litigant. In other words, this poor fella didn't have a lawyer. And you know what? The pro se litigant beat her. She lost to a pro se litigant. What's her seventh most consequential case? I'm sorry, there isn't one. There's not an eighth, there's not a ninth, there's not a 10th.
6 cases. And these people think this woman is qualified? This, I would hope, would make you reflect back to the first video where the gal is going to run for city council. These are the kind of people that you're voting into those positions, and you don't even do your background check. And then when you do, everybody in the audience is still going to sit there and like a lump on a log and say, okay. Sickening.
She's argued over a couple of driver's licenses. And the Biden White House, to give you a sense.
And I can argue over those driver's license better than she can. I can argue better over those unemployment cases than she can. I can argue over child support, child custody, all these other issues that better than she can. Simply because I have certain facts that I know of that they have never been taught. And then when I present them to them, they want to deny them. Sorry, folks, those are statistical elements in a historical record. You cannot deny those. You can deny the medical, you can deny the political, you can deny the religious, you can deny all of those things, but you cannot deny the historical record. The last one we have here is another comedic one. I want you to pay attention, ladies. You transgender guys, anybody that thinks you can cross these venues just by putting on makeup and lipstick, remember, we can put lipstick on a fucking pig too.
You heard of him? Yes, I have. If he identifies as a female, should he be allowed to enter a boxing match with a biological female?
Well, the short answer is yes, somebody who is trans.
After 20 fights, I was undefeated. Only one fighter stood between me and the belt.
This chick, she's nothing.
Tiffany Stone!
Oh, God. Oh, no. You're done.
Should Mike Tyson, have you heard of him?
Yes, I have.
If he identifies as a female, should he be allowed to enter a boxing match with a biological female?
Well, the short answer is yes, somebody who is trans.
After 20 fights, I was undefeated. Only one fighter stood between me and the belt.
This chick, she's nothing.
Tiffany Stone!
Oh, God. Oh, no. You're done.
Should Mike?
And yes, you're right, Zachocracy. Modern politicians mostly run on mudslinging. That's what most people run on. Not just politicians. Your neighbor has a beef with you, they start slinging mud about you. You have a beef with somebody at the grocery store, they start slinging mud about you. Right in public, in front of everybody, talking about how you're a maskless fool. Really ought to pay attention to what people are doing and saying, because they show themselves to be bipolar, perverts that have no idea of what maturity is, what reason and logic is, what thoughtful process is, because they're always caught up in their emotions, and they don't use the left side of their brain to figure cognitively whether their emotions should override the situation or not. They just let their emotions override the situation, and therefore their emotions are true and the facts mean nothing. I urge you to stop accepting the lies. That is your fault. And as soon as you stop accepting the lies, you might see your life change. Remember, folks, I love you, but I don't give a fucking rat's ass whether you love me back or not. May God bless you. Have a good day, and we'll see you later.